Tuesday, the 22nd of March, was the final morning in Lawrenceford for the 2022 Absa Cape Epic. The famous wine estate had been a fantastic host venue, bringing back memories from the early editions of the untamed mountain bike race. But it had also provided the terrain for a terrific 2 days of racing. The steep slopes of the Helderberg Mountains ensured testing climbs and thrilling descents, while the sweltering African summer and rugged trails contributed to mechanicals of bodies and bikes. The CM.com women's race on stage 1 featured both battered bodies and bikes. Having won the prologue, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot of BMC MTB Racing were in the orange leaders' jerseys. They and Simtech ZA's Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield were the first of the top 4 teams to be distanced by the hard-riding 91 Songo Specialized team. Though Faces Roller could initially follow Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten, even they were distanced on the vineyard roads. On the day's second climb, Gomez-Villafan and Batten began to struggle. This allowed Luthi and Wakefield, who had paced their efforts to perfection, to surge from third to first. But just when it looked like Simtech ZA were flying to victory, Luthi punctured. 91 Songo Specialized seized the opportunity and raced by to win the stage, taking the CM.com orange leaders' jerseys in the process. Simtech ZA was second on the day, with Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss third. The stage results were echoed on the CM.com women's general classification. Gomez-Villafan and Batten now lead the competition by 1 minute and 45 seconds over Luthi and Wakefield. Faces Roller are third at 2:53. In the men's race, the opening third of the stage was unsettlingly benign. And anyone who had been lulled into expecting a day which went to plan was put right by simultaneous punctures for Nino Schurter and Georg Egger. While Speed Company Racing were able to get rolling again rapidly, Scott SRAM were resorting to putting a tube in Schurter's wheel. André Frischnecht arrived just in time and sacrificed his wheel. Up the road, Matt Beers was having his own issues. This allowed Canyon Northwave and Buff Megamo to race away, while the Toyota 91 Specialized team hemorrhaged time. Schurter and Lars Forster made their second madcap chase in as many days. Unconcerned by the issues behind them, Andreas Seerwald and Martin Stossek had powered away from Hans Becking and Jose Diaz. The Canyon Northwave men raced to stage victory and into the yellow jerseys. They were joined on the stage podium by Buff Megamo and Willia Pirelli. Piers and Chris Blevins finished 9 minutes down.
Matt was suffering out there. I think had some stomach issues, which, when that happens, you're just empty. And he was still digging as hard as he could the last couple hours, but it was obviously in a world of hurt. So lost a lot of time, but it's not over, and hopefully Matt can kick whatever bug he has, and we'll be back. We still have 6 days left.
Unfortunately, we knew that the hard climb comes in the middle. We wanted to push there really hard, and unfortunately we just at the beginning of the climb we got again a flat tire. Needed we needed to do a tube in and lost a lot of time.
After a dramatic 2 days of racing, Seerwald and Stossek lead Becking and Diaz by 5 minutes and 4 seconds. Santa Cruz's Maxim Marat and Keegan Swenson are third. Toyota 91 Specialized and Scott SRAM 7th and 8th at 8:14 and 8:45 respectively.
Feeling a little bit frightened, but we're gonna just take it easy. Get to the finish. Have some fun.
Type 2 fun, the kind where it's only fun upon reflection much later. As the mercury rose and the climbing took its toll, the teams began to struggle. Even the world's best mountain bikers were reduced to pushing up the steepest pitches of the saddle climb.
Ja, that's not fair.
For the amateurs further down the field, the ascent was nothing short of brutal. A section of route which is sure to be cemented in untamed legend with sweat and tears. The race is infamous for tough first stages. Over the years, climbs like the Haarkappersroute out of Tesla's Dal have provided a rude awakening to any poorly prepared teams. The 18th Absa Cape Epic's The Saddle will no doubt be remembered with a similar reverence. An ascent to test the fighting spirit of every competitor, and one which will live long in their memories, dominating their recollection of the 2022 race. It was fortunate then that the longest stage of the race was lower on climbing per kilometre. At 123 kilometres with 2,350 metres of climbing, the day traversed the Hottentots-Holland mountain range, the Elgin Valley and the undulating Overberg Hills from Lawrenceford to Elandskloof near Greyton. The Ganto Pass portage provided the first challenge before the Oak Valley single tracks thrilled and the cut-pass descent deposited teams into the heart of the Overberg. A gravel grind along Van der Stel Pass linked to the day's second major ascent, Jacques Climb. From there, it was undulating dual tracks to the finish at Elandskloof. With an ultra-marathon day ahead, the elite men knew they would have another titanic tussle on their hands.
It means a lot. I think it's a good opportunity for us to start a race like this, and we have also the good advantage for others. So today we'll try to just keep in front, and means I hope maybe the other guys will kind of respect it that we are in the lead, and I want to avoid any crashes and a bad situation in the beginning. So
yesterday was a character building day, but feeling a lot better, and hopefully whatever stomach issues I had is resolved, and now we just need to chip away each day.
With Canyon Northwave looking to defend and Toyota 91 Specialized starting their task of chipping away, the Stage 2 start was not overly aggressive. Perhaps this was also due to the sheer number of kilometres ahead of them. Yet once the teams got racing, the pace edged up, especially as Buff Megamo came to the fore. Hans Becking and Jose Diaz are among the teams who needed to bring an aggressive approach to the day's proceedings. Back on the start line at Lawrenceford, the elite women were preparing for their assault on Stage 2.
I think there's a few. I think there's the portage, the initial portage that you just can't get too excited on, and you're not going to gain much by walking faster than someone else. So I think really just to keep it steady and efficient there, and then Jacques Climb, everyone's got their eye on as well. So just save everything for Jacques Climb and make sure you're hydrated and cooled and all those things.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously Pauline, I would say she had a little bit of heat stroke yesterday. Let's see if she's recovered. Before we start looking at GC, I think it's important to first really be honest and see how you feel. And yeah, we'll take. Yesterday we took not day by day, meter by meter, and that's how it is out there. Just take it as it comes and work with what you've got.
Metre by metre, kilometre by kilometre, day by day. Regardless of the unit of measurement, every inch of the CM.com women's race was hard fought on Stage 2. Even the kg early kilometres served their purpose. The teams tested their legs to sense the freshness after a cruel Stage 1 and looked to their rivals to see who would likely be in contention for victory 120 kilometres later. With the Ganto Pass up an ancient migration route from the Helderberg Basin into the Hottentots-Holland Mountains looming, the elite men had to up their pace. It would not do for the leaders to reach the portage with too many teams in contention. This would only lead to congestion on the narrow hiking trail. Thus, the group had to be whittled down to a less stressful size before the hike a bike into the clouds. In cool conditions under overcast skies, the men took on the portage. Team Bulzer-Huber led the run up the path, having navigated it numerous times before. Behind him, all manner of bike pushing, carrying and generally manhandling styles were employed. As Amy Wakefield had predicted, however, there is only so fast one can walk or run up the Ganto Pass. No significant gaps were forged on the portage, and the major men's teams were all in contention as they flew through the single tracks of Elgin. All, that is, aside from the Santa Cruz and Willia Pirelli teams. The third and fifth place general classification teams at the start of the day were not in the Scott Stram group. while Canyon Northwave, Toyota 91 Specialized, Buff Megamo 1 and 2, Scots Ram Douay, Speed Company Racing and Team Bulls were. Having descended into the Overberg, Urs Huber and Nino Schurter forced an unlikely split on the Van der Stel Pass District Road. The smooth gravel seemed an unlikely moment to attack. Nonetheless, it forced Canyon Northwave onto the back foot. In the CM.com women's race, the undulating kilometres across the Helderberg Basin towards the Gantu Pass portage were incident-free. The race leaders, 91 Songo Specialized and the Absa African jersey wearers Faces roller teams, shared the pacemaking duties, gradually whittling down the slower teams off the back of the elite group until only the top 5 squads remained in contention. This was as much a natural factor of the gulf in class as it was a conscious effort to thin the field for the vital hiker bike. Over the summit, Hayley Batten upped the tempo. Only her teammates Sofia Gomez-Villafan, Candice Lille, Mariska Strauss and Pauline Ferran-Prevo could follow. In an effort to allow her partner Robin de Groot to regain contact, Ferran-Prevo forced her way to the front of the group and slowed the speed. Rather than react to the tactics of others, the 91 Songo Specialized women responded by launching an attack. Faces rollers Lille and Strauss were best able to follow, fighting their way into clear trail. Behind, Simtech ZA's Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield, as well as Private Client Holdings' Marie Rabi and Hayley Perrine, were pacing themselves back to the BMC MTB racing team. Gomez-Villafan and Batten's move was short-lived, however. Within a few kilometres, Candice Lille and Mariska Strauss were back with the women in orange. Having spent so many years racing Oak Valley single tracks, the South Africans' local trails knowledge had paid dividends. They would need more than just experience in home conditions to beat the 91 Songo Specialized team though, especially as the stage wore into its 5th and 6th hour of racing. Despite her inexperience at such long-distance off-road races, Pauline Ferran-Prevo's firepower was unblunted. The French star fought her way back to the lead group, bringing Robin de Groot, Amy Wakefield and Ariane Luthi with her. With the top 4 women's teams back together, the increasingly blustery and windy conditions on Van der Stel's Pass made attacking impossible. Instead, they were content to cover the kilometres in close formation, knowing that the decisive moment would come on Jacques' climb after the relief of the smooth gravel road. Biding their time, they recovered as best they could. In the men's race, Nino Schurter and Lars Forster went on the offensive on Jacques' climb. The Scots Ram combination had 8 minutes and 45 seconds to make up on the general classification and had to be aggressive. Their pace put Team Bulls in trouble, while the other teams were just about staying within touching distance of the charging Swiss pair. Then, for the 3rd day in a row, a puncture scuppered Scots Ram's best laid plans. This time, fortunately for Schurter and Forster, it cost them seconds rather than minutes. A quick plug and a CO2 bomb solved the issue. The stop nonetheless took all the impetus from their move. The Toyota 91 Specialized led chase group had Scots Ram in their sights, and within moments of having got underway again, the chasers regained contact with the leaders. A gusting headwind then nullified any further chances of aggressive racing. The final 20 kilometres would be ridden in close formation, battling the southeaster as much as the riders around them. The only real imperative was to maintain the advantage to the next group on the road. While Scots Ram and Toyota 91 Specialized would not be gaining time on Canyon Northwave and Buff Megamo, there were other teams that they were bumping out of the top 5 general classification places. Those losing out included Speed Company Racing, Scott Calabandida and DMT Racing. The run into the finish provided no upsets for the men in the leading group. Andreas Seerwold and Martin Storsek controlled matters until the final kilometre. Then the yellow jersey wearers pulled aside to avoid any potential bumping of bars or race-ending crashes. Their slacking allowed Hans Becking, Jose Diaz, Matt Beers, Chris Blevins, Nino Schurter and Lars Forster to duke it out for stage honours. And there was no stopping Scots Ram. While Blevins forced his way past Schurter and Forster, they were never troubled by Beers, Becking and Diaz. After 2 days of disappointment, Scots Ram had their stage win. Despite puncturing again, Nino Schurter and Lars Forster went some way to overturning their epic misfortunes by winning stage 2. Matt Beers and Chris Blevins were 0.5 of a second behind, with Buff Megamo in third. Canyon Northwave's fourth place was more than enough to maintain their grip on yellow. Andreas Seerwald and Martin Stosek's general classification lead is now 4 minutes and 55 seconds over Hans Becking and Jose Diaz. Toyota 91 Specialized moved up to third at 8 minutes and 4 seconds.
Yeah, finally we have a win, but we had really good legs, made a nice attack, but unfortunately I had another flat, lost again 2 minutes. But yeah, for sure we know we had the best legs today, we're probably the strongest today. But yeah, I have a bit of bad feeling now of every day I'm having mechanical. I need to get out of that. Doesn't feel so now. Yeah, I'm not feeling that comfortable anymore on the bike. So I hopefully I get more sweet through.
Yeah, it was a brutal day for everybody. I don't know, maybe something's wrong with the briefing, because I think nobody knew today was 5 hours, because we went really fast from the start and everybody was fighting for position all day. It was a bit of the key thing. If you want to save energy for the final part, you need to be in the front on the single tracks. And it was all day headwind. So huge respect for Nino to try to pull away on the big climb with 4 teams working, or 3-4 teams working together behind him. That means he's really ambitious, and finally I think they had a small problem or a crash, and where we catch them back. And for me and Jose, it was just hanging on the last position and trying to stay there with the headwind and not get alone and need to fight the headwind alone. So now we're super happy we saved this day. It was a really hard one.
Jacques' climb proved to be the key point in the stage in the CM.com women's race, as had been predicted by Amy Wakefield. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot ascended fastest, splitting the field, while Robin de Groot rode her own tempo, shadowing Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten. Mariska Strauss and Candice Lill had to watch them ride off. Over the summit, having caught Ferrand-Prévot, the 91 Songo Specialized team suffered a mechanical. Batten's dropper seat post had got stuck in the low position. As a result, the American was unable to climb seated and had to stop to force it up. This had allowed Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield to pass them on the trail. And while Batten and Gomez-Villafan soon reeled the Simtek ZA team in again, they were unable to catch BMC MTB Racing. Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot charged through the remaining kilometres in a 2-up time trial. No amount of frantic chasing by 91 Songo Specialized could reduce the gap to the leaders. Behind, Simtek ZA had to be content with third. Having conceded nearly 10 minutes on stage 1, the storming ride by Ferrand-Prévot and de Groot on stage 2 was a welcome surprise. Their gaining of time on the women in the orange CM.com jerseys kept the race for the overall title alive. Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten had a healthy buffer, thus finishing second was by no means a disaster. Nor was third for the Simtek ZA team. After 3 days of racing, the CM.com women's race is fascinatingly poised. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot's stage victory was completed in a time of 6 hours, 20 minutes and 52 seconds for the 123-kilometre course. Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten were second, 2 minutes and 47 seconds back. Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield completed the podium at 7 minutes and 50 seconds. The day's CM.com women's action concluded with 91 Songo Specialized still in the orange Chiavita leaders jerseys. They now lead BMC MTB Racing by 6 minutes and 26 seconds. Simtek ZA are third, just 21 seconds off second. Faces rollers Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss are fourth, but strengthened their grip on the red Absa African jerseys.
Well, I think it was my longest ride ever. So I never did 6 hours 20 in training, so it was super tough, super long. But yeah, we had a good plan, and yesterday I started a bit maybe too fast. And with the heat and with the long climb, I completely blew up and I had to stop. So today the plan was to take it easy at the beginning and yeah, to try to push hard on the climb. So it's what we did and it works perfectly. So yeah, we are really happy.
In two of the other categories, the favourites began to exert their dominance by stage 2. The NTT Masters and Grandmasters leaders were looking confident, while the mixed and Exaro jersey leaders, who had not expected to find themselves in the dark and light green jerseys, were less assured. Both Sunyos Cafe CBZ Asfalto and 91 Songo Specialized would lose their leads. Carl Platt and Christoph Sazer were once again the fastest A-batch team. Bart Brenchens and Abra Azevedo were not too far off the pace set by the men more than a decade their junior, racing the teams around them rather than their Grandmasters category rivals. They have a major goal to chase after all, in the form of Brenchens' 8th Absa Cape Epic category title. The Dutch legend is already the most successful age grouper in the race. CST Postal NL Bafang's Bart Brenchens and Abra Azevedo extended their Grandmasters category lead to 1 hour and 14 minutes over Richard Lurie and Thorkild Nielsen. In the NTT Masters race, the Songo 91 Epic Legends now lead Restonic by 18 minutes and 28 seconds. Manny Heymans and Genevieve Weber moved back into the mixed category lead after stage 2, despite finishing second on the stage. The Exaro jersey changed hands too, as Ntlanta Nonkasa was forced to withdraw at water point 2. The 91 Songo Specialized rider was dehydrated and suffering with a stomach bug after stage 1's efforts. This allowed Exaro Academies 1, Hlalelisani Ndebele and Tlotlo Selala to move back into the competition lead. Stage 3 of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic is the first of 2 circular loops of the Greyton region. Starting and finishing at Elandskloof, the day features 2,250 metres of climbing in 101 kilometres. It's predicted to be another hot day, though the threat of afternoon showers will make it cloyingly humid rather than searingly dry. Once the Erkiesdam climb has spread the field, the Rec Route single tracks provide exhilarating rocky riding into the village of Greyton. On the way home to Elandskloof, RIP and the Imanzi Leopard Loop offer further opportunities for would-be stage winners to make decisive moves.
Stage 2, Lawrence to Greyton.